Yep.
All right, here we go. Another episode. We got big man Dennis Shyshko, certified lean
Yes,
man.
sir. Come on. Come on.
What's going
Stop
on, man?
playing with me. Dude, it's great to talk to you. It's great to hear from you.
Hell yeah.
Um, my favorite person, really. I mean, the trainer that got me in shape changed my life around. Um, I hit the gym this morning. It's phase two of the hypertrophy cluster. Found my squatting max,
What'd you
which
hit?
max one rep. It was 245 was like really tough. So I just put 250 because I think that's what it is.
Okay, nice. What'd
So
you hit for
yeah,
the
so
10 by 4?
10 by 4 was 70%. So I did 175 pounds. Yeah.
Nice. How was that?
100 or was it? Yeah, 175. And that was by the end, bro. I was sweating more than I ever sweat in that gym. I'm not gonna lie. That, especially with the reverse lunges afterwards, and I did 40s in each hand for that.
Oh, hell
And
yeah, dude.
so oh yeah, because it was 4 reps, I knew I could do it, and like knowing that it was 7 to 8 RPE, um, that definitely, I was sweating up a storm. I loved it. I woke up mad. I woke up super mad, and I went straight to the gym. I was at 4 hours of sleep. I didn't set an alarm. I was like, oh, maybe I'll sleep in until the podcast or whatnot. No, I woke up mad. I went to the gym and I got it done.
Dude, getting after it,
Getting
man.
after it, man.
How's it
Yeah,
been?
absolutely.
How's it been training without me there?
Honestly,
Killing it?
it's going fantastic. Because like I can push myself and know when I'm pushing myself because I'm not doing this to look the same after 5 years, after 6 years. I'm doing this to like fix my mental, to fix my physical, to change my whole life around. And so yeah, without you, I mean, you taught me so much over 3, 4 months that I still got all your lessons like in my head. So it's like really, I still got the mini Clank in my head, like screaming. It's like you got one more in you. You got two more in you. It's like look at that form, that bullshit form.
People don't see that online, but I like to get the boys riled up. I think that's
Yeah,
important. You got to have some hard coaching. Um,
absolutely.
I think that's important. That's how I learn, man. I was I was taught back in the Pittsford weight room from Coach Molnich and the guys, and then getting to college, man, these strength coaches were savages, and they'd be lifting heavier weight than you. So it'd be like you got to get in there and freaking get after it.
That's like a great like way to train. You train with someone stronger than you and they're pushing
Yeah.
you. And I've seen some of your whether it's videos or just like tips and stuff about having a training partner definitely makes all the difference. And even though right now at the moment I don't have one, I still like it's no other option than to go to the gym no matter how I feel, no matter how much sleep, no matter this and that. I'm getting there. I mean, I usually do have a
And
really
usually you
good
have great
routine.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost, yeah, over 95% of the days past 5 months, I'm getting those 7 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Which is
Uh,
the that's like the foundation, you know. It's obviously 1 or 2 days and you get low sleep, not a big deal. But those days, speaking from experience, you stack low sleep days over and over again. Pretty
yeah.
soon you're not even as strong in the gym as you would think you are, you know? Like I think that's an under recognized aspect of training because
Mhm.
obviously you need to push weight to get stronger to improve muscle mass. But if you don't get adequate sleep and nutrition, then you can't push that weight, even though maybe you have that strength within you in an ideal scenario. But if you never are in that scenario, it's really tough. And then obviously it comes down to mental fortitude too for us, like knowing, like yesterday, man, I was training in the gym with no AC, so I was hitting the bench, and then I'm chalking up just to do my rows because I'm sweating so much. Like, and I'm using
In
my shirt to,
Florida too.
yeah, I was sweating up a
Dude.
storm, and I was like, dang, I should have used like intra workout. I just had water, had a big thing of water, but I was like, I should have
Ooh,
had intra carbs and salt with me. Like that was a
yep.
mistake, so I'm not making that mistake again because I typically have intra carbs and salt.
Mhm.
And then yesterday, I don't know why I didn't. I was just working, went straight to the gym, and I was like,
Mhm.
dang, that's definitely a performance driver. Has that been helpful for you too? Kind of having some carbs
Absolutely.
mid workout?
I was, that's exactly what I was just thinking about is since today I restarted the creatine, I was on it for 3, 4 months. 2 week cycle out, so I took it out. And today I started again 5G before, 5G after. But I also had the intra carbs, which I've been doing the coconut pineapple
Yeah.
juice, 20 grams of carbs, and I actually it helps a lot. I put that in and I put a lot of water in it.
Hmm.
So I just fill the shaker, 24, 25 ounces or whatever.
Yeah.
And definitely I got those squats alone, I almost got through the whole
Yeah.
thing. Dude, I literally, yeah, I'm down in the water, and especially I want to make sure not going back on the creatine, I'm getting plenty fluids. Like I'm someone that, I'm at the gym. I got the striking and no-gi practice 5 to 7 a night. I'm going to be walking around all day, 10,000 plus steps a day. So I'm burning a ton of calories, let alone resting is crazy. So I need every calorie and carb I can get.
What was your weight this morning?
147.6.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna keep upping the calories for
Yeah, I
sure.
was gonna say because I hit, yeah, we're trying to up it, and like I'm
We've been
supposed to be
upping it.
going up in weight. I'm like, I know I'm going down more. I hit like 149, and we're like upping it to gain weight. But as I incorporate the sort of jujitsu training and just like I guess maybe building more muscle, so the resting
Yeah.
calorie burn rate is higher.
Yeah.
So it's just locked
And
in.
your metabolism's working faster too.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I was just about to mention, yeah, the meals have been so good. I mean, just right before this podcast, I had the cream of rice, 55 grams. I had 90 grams whole cottage cheese. I had, raisins, honey, cantaloupe slash pineapple in there. And the collagen, the whey isolate, put in the creatine, salt, everything. And that's bomb. That's bomb. I feel really good after eating it. I feel like I got energy even after exerting myself, all the meals, I feel like I got energy. I'm never like low energy.
no, man, and it's because your nutrition, I mean, you've been dialed in. Like that's the biggest thing, is
Mhm.
having nutrition dialed in. It's a game changer. Because I'm looking right now at your food, and people are gonna be like, "Wait, you're 147, and you're eating, in a day, you're eating, shoot, dude, you're eating like 2,800 calories most
I'm
days."
literally losing weight
Yeah.
eating
You're
2,700
almost
calories.
3,000, you're eating almost 3,000 calories at 147, which before, remember, like you were kind of maintaining weight at close to 170 at around like 2,100 calories. So your
Yep.
metabolism's just been cooking, which is good because
Oh
now
yeah.
we're going to add more intra carbs during jujitsu, during striking. They'll probably go 30 during that, 30 during training. And
That'd
then,
be
but your
awesome.
protein's already at 150. So your protein's already at where you need to be. Your fat's in a good range. So we just get to drive,
Yep.
which you like to have simple carbs, aka fruit,
A lot.
which just boosts the metabolism along with so many other things. So you're killing it, man.
That that's probably what it is. The amount of fruit, the amount of vegetables, like whole foods, like I don't like cheating. I don't cheat. I get it down to the gram. Um, literally just all whole foods, no added sugars, all everything on the plan, and I'm very happy with everything on the plan. And if there's like a fruit or something that's not in there, be like, hey
Oh
Jack,
yeah,
can
I
you add
gotta add
that?
the freaking cherries, bro.
Yeah, no, if you yeah, whenever you can.
I will, I will. No, I had those in
I
there.
At night I'll do the Greek yogurt with the Celtic salt and cinnamon, the 150 grams of that, and then the frozen berries. That has been a staple when you introduced me to that. That's been a staple in my diet at night because I am so happy. I'm like, dude, this is better than ice cream, and I
Yeah,
feel good after eating it, not like all sugared out.
yeah, it's so nice. I'm experimenting with creating some berry ice cream. So I was last night doing that with raw milk and berries, and then I gotta basically turn the berries into a puree, mix it with the raw milk, do some salt, some cinnamon, some honey, and then I'm gonna put it into the freezer and see how try to make some ice cream. Maybe get some cream too, and some like healthy ice cream, which would be awesome too. Because
That's
that
delicious.
the calcium in the milk and in the yogurt and the cottage cheese really helps with the thyroid too. So a lot of guys who have, which is it's a common, you're not somebody who has issues with that, but anyone with a slow metabolism, one of the biggest things is the thyroid slows down. And then a lot of times people have struggled with sleep because they'll wake up and they don't have enough carbs. So then their adrenaline and other cortisol stress hormones spike in the evening. So they wake up because their body starts to, it's basically turns catabolic, which means it starts to utilize its own tissue for energy. And then your body's
Oh,
like,
wow.
yo, we don't want to do this. So we got to wake up because you need more nutrients. But a lot of people, including myself and others, before you really start looking at food, if you start just food logging, you start to realize, wow, I'm probably overeating fats and under eating carbohydrates. And during a day, right, carbs are our
Mhm.
preferred method of energy. So we want to be
Yeah.
having adequate carbohydrates. But if we overdo fat with it, now we're going to be in too much of a surplus. We're going to gain fat. But if we have enough carbohydrates throughout the day and then just a solid amount of fat, maybe 25% of the daily value, which is kind of where you are at. And I try to have most
Mhm.
guys between 20 and 30, depending on metabolism. But in the evening, that's when we use body fat for energy. So when we're sleeping, that's when body fat's used. So that's really when we want to be burning the body fat. So then during the day, that's why we're driving those intra carbs up and use carb cycling sometimes too. And right now we're doing non-training day and training day plan, but we'll probably start
Yeah.
incorporating more high days too to just get that weight up in the right way. But that's awesome because you're not putting on any fat and you're going to be just putting on more muscle, which is for that reverse diet. That's kind of the phase we're in. So it's not really, we're not in the mass gaining phase yet. Basically, when we reverse out, if we overdo food, especially processed food, we're a lot more prone to just putting on body fat. Because if we gain 5 pounds, 6 pounds in a month, we can't gain that many pounds of muscle. And you're already at you're already eating a lot of carbohydrates. So your body's every gram of carbs, we're also having water is going to bring in with the body. But once we're maxed out in the carbs, then we're going to start getting fat. So we don't want to do that. So, but you're
Mhm.
killing it. But
And the
overall,
carbs are like,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, the carbs are like immediate energy too, as opposed to fat, I'm assuming wouldn't be immediate energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. The carbs, we're using that is for sure. It's going to the liver, it's going to the muscle, the brain. We're using that immediately for energy. And it's a lot
Mhm.
easier to digest and get into the bloodstream. When we're having just fat, it's not the preferential just method for us to have fuel throughout the day. Not meaning that it doesn't work at all, right? People can do ketosis. I've done that. But for really increasing metabolism and decreasing the stress hormones, we definitely want to have adequate carbohydrates. And in the short term, ketogenic diets do work or carnivore, but in the long term, you tend to get those cortisol, adrenaline, and other stress hormones start to increase so much that your thyroid then gets impacted because as your cortisol and adrenaline go up, your thyroid goes down, then your testosterone goes down. So eventually, your digestion slows down because when our metabolism is slowed, every other function in our body is slowed. So that then leads to slower just, bowel movements, all things like that. We have
Yeah.
toxins in our body for longer periods of time. So a lot of times people will feel great doing keto carnivore for say 2 to 4 months, but eventually they start to get really fatigued and just they don't have that same energy. I know when I did carnivore, my strength, I probably felt 80, 90% of my overall strength. Like I just didn't feel that quite pop.
Yeah, not
So
getting all the like micros possibly or whatever macros or um
yeah, and just not having enough carbohydrates, which fuel
yeah.
the mitochondria, which fuel our body. So but having days that are higher in fat, like for you, non-training days, or for most people that I work with, if we're doing a train non-train day or high, medium, low, those low days, that's when we want to get the fat soluble vitamins. So that's when we're having a lot of more eggs, a lot more whole milk, saturated fats through coconut oil, red meat, things like that, avocado, which are going to give us primarily saturated fats, but they're going to give us all those fat soluble vitamins. So then we're able to absorb those because when we're having a lot of fruit, we need a lot more B vitamins than typical. So that's why it's still important to have red meat. It's still important to have not just honey, but also fruit and things with micronutrients in there. So that's why we balance not just having, 100 grams of honey all day, but we're going to have honey with it because you need
Yeah.
that quick carbs, but you've already addressed the micros. So then we start to bring in the carbs additionally as
Right.
well.
And I don't and I may not have like either a thyroid issue or other issues, but I like to like thinking it ahead of time and like do everything I can to prevent these sort of things. Like that's why, I went completely sober, without smoking drink. That's I try to max the micros with a meal plan where I don't just do milk and honey for every simple carb and whole dairy or
Okay.
whatever. And so yeah, maxing the micros, making sure to get a great variety every day. And I do feel good. And like you were mentioning about stress, just making sure to stay low stress and like between the plenty sleep, the training, we're overall life balance, it can be tough for a lot of people, but definitely like people can make time for whatever they think is important in their life. And so it's just, yeah, it's very important to keep that low stress. And like, especially me as a Christian, I put all the anxiety onto God. So it's like, I just, I try to remember all the lessons I've learned and just utilize them every day. And especially, that clank in my head telling me, you got one more rep in you.
That's important to remember, man. That's I think that's what God tells us when we're going through hard times. You got one more one more rep, one more push of
Yeah,
doing your best. That's what it's really all about. And
absolutely.
it's easy to forget sometimes, you know. It's easy if you're just in your own echo chamber or if you're around people who aren't really trying to improve themselves, you kind of just take on that spirit. So it's important to have that obviously through a higher power, but then within yourself to really, soak that in. But I
And
want to kind of, oh, go ahead.
oh, and I just want to just got sidetracked. So I should put salt into the intracarbs, like the for the workout, salt in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna increase it to 30, but we'll
Okay.
do probably 1 to 2, probably 1 gram of salt during training
Okay.
and then probably two during jujitsu or striking. And the
Okay.
salt works with the carbs to help bring those carbs into the muscle too. So it
Ah,
just shuttles it a little bit better. They work in tandem. So that's why we have coconut water too, because it's got potassium, magnesium. So
yeah.
there's multiple electrolytes. Sodium, potassium, magnesium are the main ones, but there's many other ones too. So the salt works in congruence with that because that's part of like if you see a Gatorade, right, it's going to have salt and it's going to have carbohydrates. Now the ratio for those aren't necessarily ideal, meaning they don't have enough salt. It's probably a 2 to 400 milligrams typically of salt, and then carbs are 30 to 40, where we would want, a carb to salt ratio. I usually would like a 3 to 1. So if you got 30 grams of carbs, you want at least a gram of salt, if not more, depending on sweat levels too. Yeah. And the
That
thing
makes
is,
sense.
people forget once they start eating cleaner foods, they forget that there's no added salt to any of these foods. So you're making all the food yourself and you're having
Mm.
all these things, but there's no salt on any of them. So if you're having a meal with fruit like we may do, fruit, yogurt, things like that, you still should be adding salt
Yeah.
because you're not getting those typically in our, in a standard American diet where salt's in every single processed thing. For us, we've got to add the salt on there. And that also helps a lot of people with headache or chronic fatigue or migraines. They don't have
That's
enough
interesting.
electrolytes in their body. So that's really an important thing. Because if you don't have salt, you can't actually utilize the water. It just goes into your intestine, but it's not really being put in the areas we want it.
That makes me think. I know a lot of people, say they have chronic migraines or this or that. A lot of, anyone with health issues, like if like see how many of those go away if you just dial in the diet as best that they can or I can, and like training and everything, and like I didn't even know that about salt, where it's like that could be caused. And I do add salt to, the eggs, the yogurt, the
Yeah.
everything. Now I'm adding that. So, but it's very interesting to know, and like that's something that a lot of people probably don't know because I didn't know that until now.
Yeah,
I just
man.
always had it.
There's so many aspects, right? It's like you want to start with the foundational, and salt's one of those. But I want to dive into because I think a lot of people who are going to be watching this have probably seen our post of you transforming in 3 months, really. We didn't even post. We'll have to eventually post kind of like the bulk updates because you're only
Yeah.
getting leaner and stronger. So,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But in the next few months, we'll post a new update because you've been killing it. But I think it's cool to also go back because people even have asked me like, "Oh, was it AI? This and that." Like that's how crazy of a
Yo, two
transformation.
people have asked me that too. Is like, yo, that's AI. I was like, dude, is it really that crazy? Like,
Yeah, like send them a video. I'm like, it's not AI. Then it's just locked in. But I think it's cool to start too because people have seen that transformation, but it's a longer transformation that you've been going through, and improving yourself, and it's been more than just physical. And
Mhm.
but I think to get context, I think it's important to date back to your upbringing, where you're from, and all that. So for most people, they don't know you're born in Russia. Why don't you give a little background on kind of your upbringing and how you came to the U.S.?
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good yeah, so I was born in Nova Urengoy, Russia, 1998, October 30th. Um it's kind of like my dad's side is Ukrainian, mom's side's Russian, sort of like mixture of people, got Romanian, German, Polish, whatever, Slavic, 1 year in Nova Urengoy, then 2 years or one to 2 years to Ukraine. And then that's when my family won like the green card lottery to go to America. So that's when we moved to Rochester, New York. We were at the Crown Oak Apartments in I think it was Fairport. I think it was Fairport. but yeah, so pretty much there. Mom got the divorce. Didn't know my dad at all growing up until I met him when I was like 22. But yeah, so we moved to into a shelter, and then briefly until we moved into the Pines of Parenton. And and I have one older brother. He's 32 now, or 33. I'm not in contact with him for years. That's a long story. It's like my brother growing up, he was, he drank a lot, and it was just like a bad, sit with bipolar and whatnot, but that got to be a lot. But yeah, no, we lived in Fairport till second grade, right until eighth grade, just me, my mom, my brother, and then Pittsford eighth till current. And I'm very glad we kept having to move apartments because my brother kept getting us kicked out of apartments. Um, and I'm very glad that it happened that way though. I'm so grateful, and I wouldn't have changed anything because I met you, I met the people, I just the way things play out. I also have a guy, Patrick Morrison, who's kind of like the dad I never had. He introduced me to Jesus in the church, really, alongside of my mom, in a manner that wasn't like, overdoing it growing up. Because I've seen a lot of people, their parents like force them to pray, force them to do this. I've met way too many people, and they grow up, they hate it. They hate it. They don't believe anything about God. And that makes me think is like, wow, so you force someone to do it, and all these instances they get pushed away from their parents and pushed away from God. And I just feel like it was a nice balance growing up. So a lot of things worked out in my favor growing up. Even though I had some hardships, I had a lot of good things. And just yeah, I mean, really growing up, my mom, my brother, going to some very good public schools, definitely. And I never really worked out like in high school, never worked out. I did modified football, wrestling, track, seventh and eighth grade. I got this autoimmune disorder called pemphigus folicis going into ninth grade. My antibodies on my skin attacked themselves. So I got blisters all over. That destroyed my confidence. Ninth, 10th grade, that was tough. I didn't do sports because if someone hit me, my skin would rip. Um, and I started doing CYO basketball for 2 years. I think it was 11th and 12th grade or something. But that, definitely just hardships that just like overcoming these things, like stuff that you can't plan for or I can't plan for. Those are some of the major things like growing up. But there's, so many little things that happened that formed me into the person I am today. Um, and I started smoking weed like maybe when I was 15 in high school. And it became more of a habit growing in 17, 18, 19, 20.
Was that almost like an
Um,
escape initially? Like basically to
yeah,
like from kind of feeling uncomfortable with the skin and things like that.
absolutely. So the first time was out of curiosity and it was a lot of fun. But that was only the first time. Then it was like a once a week thing with the buddies in high school, and I enjoyed it like where it was like, it was an escape and it was something cool and different.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely it became a habit. And it became a habit, and I was too young to realize what it was really doing to me. And I'll never know exactly how it affected my developing brain because I can't go back in time and see how I would be without it. But I also I had some good advice where I can't think of it as like, oh, I regret doing it because what if my brain could have been bigger or not? Because it only made me the person I am today. Um, but between the smoking weed, I was vaping nicotine. On and off with like had like maybe a cigarette or tobacco. Just the normal casual stuff, really that I thought was like normal because whether people in my family would do that stuff or people around me would do that stuff, it's like oh it's normal to drink here. It's normal to smoke that. Do this on occasion. Um, and I always thought like oh by the time like I go to college and like after college, I definitely won't be doing any of that. I have big dreams and big hopes. Like I'll be busy, I'll be a big business owner and all that. Um, Long story short, after college, I'm still smoking and drinking. And I'm like, dude, I gotta freaking do something about this. It was 2020 when I got out. I went to Rockport University for 1 year business, 2 years at MCC graphic design, then fourth year at Buffalo State graphic design. The 2+2 didn't work, so because they didn't take a lot of credits, so I still have my associates, but and I don't really like the major, so that's also kind of tough, like being trying to pick what to do at 18 without much guidance. I wish I stuck with the business, but I can always, go back. But definitely now, as I'm 20, turning 26, turning 27, October 30th, I feel like I have a much better sense of what I want to do in my life, and I'm getting there. Like in terms of daily routine, like I want to train every day. I want to stay sober every day. I want to hang around people that want to either be like me or better than me. So it's tough when like sometimes I'll rekindle with people, and they might smoke or drink, and like they, whether they want to go out to the bar or this or that. And like I very seldom do I go out and entertain that. Because I'm not drinking, and I go to bed early. I like going to bed at 8:30, 9:30 p.m. So when I do that, it's really messing up my sleep schedule, this, that, and I barely enjoy it really. So I would rather just freaking be in bed at 8:30 p.m., wake up at 5 a.m. Um,
Yeah.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'd way rather wake up early and get to the gym and I feel amazing and there's nothing else that I want more to better myself because I see the progress and I know it's getting me better. What's not getting me better is hanging around people that are, smoking and drinking in excess on a regular basis. And they might not have the big ambitions that I have. Um,
So
and especially, yeah.
I got two things that kind of were that stand out to me about you that I want to dig deeper into. And I think one, because I want to talk about sobriety and your and your journey to achieving that because man, so many people are in the shoes you were in and you made it out and you've been killing it. So kudos to you first and foremost. But even
Thank
before
you.
then, and we'll get into that, but I think even before then, you've always known, since I've known you, you've always been somebody who wanted to do big things. Like you've always felt, you've always, it hasn't just been get the job and do something boring. You've always wanted to be great and you've always had, right? Like I'm sure you've always felt you had that like inner kind of potential in you, right? So
Absolutely.
how was it going about that and like knowing that, but still feeling like you're almost getting sucked back in to whether it's the substances or the people that maybe you've just grown past, right? But it's easy to fall back into those because that's most people you know. So kind of what was that mindset? When did you know you wanted to do big things? And then how long did it take you to kind of achieve the sobriety to do those, which now you're on the path to do?
Absolutely. So from the start, like I had a guitar when I was in like fifth grade, and like I listened to a lot of rock, and I always want to be a rock star, and I want to be a rock star. And then growing up, of course, I heard lawyers make a lot of money. Oh, I want to be a lawyer, or like I want to design something. Maybe like eighth, ninth grade, I was like, oh, I want to be an architect. Then I started making SoundCloud songs with my guy Ryan in high school, and like maybe I'll be a great musician or artist, or maybe down a path of musical talent because my mom went to music college in Ukraine for 10 years and like I come from a musical background because of that. And so I definitely knew that we have one life and that anything is possible. And all these people that we see around us, whether I want to be the president, where you want to be freaking Elon, whatever, none of these are far-fetched. That you could do whatever. I know I could do whatever I want in life. So, I'm definitely going to shoot for the stars. And I knew from a young age that I have to get it. But the tough part was putting in the work to get it. Because like you were saying, when I started, you know, kind of like being sucked into the comfort of whether I was playing a lot of video games. I played a lot of video games growing up. I past couple months, not so much, especially now that we're older and we're a bit more busy. Um, Definitely the comfort of, smoking weed, vaping, put on the game. Even if I'm like would go to work at my 9 to 5 past many years, and I would just, on my free time, all my free time, smoke weed, play video game. And that's just it wasn't cutting it. It wasn't getting me anywhere. And year after year after year is going by, and nothing is changing. I was investing everything in crypto, XRP specifically since 2019. So it's like, yeah, I'll keep investing and I'll keep just, I think I'm doing going places because I'm putting the money in a good place. I'm able to save because growing up poor, know the value of the dollar. We were on welfare, food stamps, Section 8 housing, blah blah blah. And but I realize it's not enough. It's not enough. There's so much more that I could be doing, and there's so much more than just like money. Even though I definitely want to, do big things, need a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, so with this training, the way this training has affected me is like not only am I all the different things that the science comes down to, whether it's bettering my mental, it helps with trauma, it helps with this, that, whether it helps my body, physical, metabolism, I'm eating better. I got the structure down, at this hour I want to do this, at this hour I want to do this. And especially as getting older, I think I'm just maturing also and able to prioritize like, do I want to play video games for 2 hours? Or do I want to read for an hour and then, work on applying higher paying jobs for an hour? That sort of stuff. Um, and definitely breaking the cycle of addiction. The growing up, I watched my brother from like fifth grade do, well, I was in fifth grade, he was 6 years older. He's done a lot of drugs around me. Well, it was mainly weed, but seen him do some other stuff, like maybe psychedelics, this, that, whatnot. Um, and definitely, he would bring his sketchy friends over, and it wasn't, growing up, I knew one thing I knew was I could be like Patrick Morrison, a good person, or like, I had a lot of good times with my brother, but it could also have been, I could be someone that's more like my brother who's made a lot of bad decisions, and I knew I had to be more like Patrick. I
Yeah.
have to be someone that believes in God and follows God. And with that being said, the Bible tells us what to do. No, in smoking, no indulging in getting drunk, no, no porn, this, that, a lot of rules, but they all are for a reason and they better ourselves. And then just making sure to repent for our sins every day. And so with that blueprint in the Bible, and just like having the mindset like I want someone great is like I know I can't smoke and drink forever. There's that's not going to get me to where I want to be or at the pace that I want to be. I might, there's successful people out there that might smoke or drink a little bit. There's also probably majority of people that smoke and drink probably aren't successful. So we're playing a percentage game at that point. And like for me, coming from a background that, a lot of addiction in the family, I tend to overdo it. Like if I smoke, then I gotta drink. If I drink, I gotta smoke. So between the weed, nicotine, and the alcohol, it was a
Yeah.
trifecta for me. I have to cut it all out. Um,
So how do you go about
and
cutting it out? Because I know you did it a few times, and then recently it's been almost a year, and I think really transformed more than you ever have before. So what was the process like the few times
yeah,
trying to do it, and then finally you feel like kind of breaking through that glass ceiling?
yeah, that's a good question. So the process to start quitting happened maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm basically 20. I'm turning 27 October 30th. So say I'm 27. And I started smoking weed when I was 15. So, and then I started getting into more of a habit of it when I was like 17, 18.
Yeah. So
Or
why did
right,
you
right.
want to stop?
Yeah. Because health effects, like my lungs would feel a little like messed up. It made me feel less motivated, whether it's the weed or the vaping or this, that. Um, Definitely health effects was a lot. And then when I would drink, you get hungover. And like I was like, I don't really like getting hungover. And like I would just go out to bars and these sketchy house parties that like I get anxiety at.
Yeah.
And I just like drink to try and drown the anxiety, but then I end up drinking too much, making a fool of myself and just waking up hungover. And then I definitely at that time there wouldn't be no gym if I'm hungover at that time, and definitely just makes the whole day worse. And I get no quality sleep. I started writing notes in my phone app 5, 6 years ago about like, dude, this vaping is fucking up my lungs, bro. It's messing up my lungs, and I keep reminding myself like, yo, listen to yourself. Stop, going with the addiction because it's easier to just wake up and hit it. I need to actually do something about it. It started with, maybe I would stop vaping for a week or two. But after like doing it for many years, maybe when I was like 22, 23, I would stop vaping for a week or two or three. Forget exactly, say I went a month sober, I relapsed. It ultimately it
Was
just I
there a
just
certain
kept getting
trigger why you would go back? Because that's sometimes a
um
lot of times with addiction, right? Like
yeah.
especially when I studied this in school, a big thing is, right, there's triggers, whether it's an environment, whether it's an emotion, whatever it may be, where there's certain things that you notice that kind of drew you back, whether it was situations difficult with work or life or stress or environment,
Yeah.
like where there's certain things that kind of triggered that relapse.
Yeah, actually, so not only the people I hung around, like they all vaped. It made vaping seem, like a normal thing, and they
Yeah.
all seem fine. I still know people today that vape to this day, and they're like, "Hey, I don't feel any health issues, so why do I stop?" Um, and so not only hanging around people, but definitely like I would go back because I would be stressed and I think I need that. Like I would think I don't know if it had an effect like growing up, like when I, 15, 16, 17, brain's developing and like maybe my
Yeah.
brain got used to, oh, if you're stressed, you need to hit this vape. You need to go smoke that weed. Oh, you're stressed. There's no other way to deal with this. And there was just like an easy way out where it's like, okay, just get a quick vape hit. Then I'm like I'm brain dead. Then I don't think about the pain. Um and so those sort of things like made me relapse, whether it was like I wanted that buzz and other people around me did it, and that's what my brain knew was easy way out. The easy way out. That's what it is. And that's why like I'm grateful to have this discipline and willpower to want to quit. And it was like, yeah, I would go a few months, then I'd stop. Like last year I was 6 months cold turkey. And it was really I was listening to the Beatles in the car and I was like, man, I kind of want to I feel so healthy. What would happen was I would quit for a long time like that and feel so healthy. I'm like, well,
You can do it
what's the
now.
worst that can happen? And but I literally went through that cycle so many times where even 2 years before I went 6 months cold turkey. The year before that it was like 4 months. The year before that was 3 months. So it grew longer and longer these stretches. But I realized I kept making that same mistakes like, oh, 3 months, 6 months, and then I relapse, and then 6 months, and then relapse. And I'm like, dude, like there's no it's not getting any better. I just need to stop for good. And so this time round, it's by far the strongest I've felt in terms of discipline and like self-restraint or self-control to not want to do it. I literally don't want to do it ever again because I feel so good without it. And that's what I'm striving to get that happiness of a child, like how I felt as a child. Now I know things are different because our brains are more developed and we learn a lot of things and almost like all the knowledge we've gained where weighs us down. Because like as kids, we don't know that much, so we don't stress about a lot of things. Now we know so much like, oh, like microplastics, like what's in this thing or this or that. And like I start going paranoid.
Yeah,
And then like
paralysis by analysis, my guy.
yeah, and definitely just I
So
just I chip away.
what was the trigger for you to stop? Because what has it been 9, 10 months now?
September 27th will be 1 year. So in
Dude,
11 days it'll be 1 year.
dude, let's go, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll probably post it on that day then, and so then that'll be the 1 year anniversary. I'll post this. So that what day is that? The 27th?
Yeah, September 27th. It was, that was actually a couple days before your brother's engagement party, was
Oh
it?
yeah. Well, his was in like November, but yeah, that was because I remember you were
Yeah.
because it was in because I got back from Oregon in early November, so it was probably a few weeks
Mhm.
after that. Yeah, so it's right
Yeah.
around that time. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel yeah, and I still remember how I felt like vaping every day and smoking weed every day. And like I honestly hate thinking about that because you need it. You always want to go back to the vape. You always need if you don't go 5 minutes without it, oh dude, I'm raising hell. I need to go get that stuff. And every end of the day, oh, I gotta hit it right before I go to bed, the vape. And it's like, it's not worth it, bro. It's definitely
Yeah,
not
man.
worth it. Anyone watching this is not worth it, bro. I'm telling you right now, I've been through the cycle. It's not worth it, bro. Like think about what is damaging your health and think about later down the line 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Like I want to be that 80-year-old that's still at the gym, that's still healthy. I'm not I lost that mindset that was oh what, fuck it, I want to die young. I'm out of that mentality where it's like I'm in it for the marathon, for the long run. I could still be a successful business owner at 60, 70, 80. I could still be successful at whatever I do. So I'm in it for the long run, and that's how we're gonna grow the empire, baby.
Man, that's amazing, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I really do
Thank you.
because I think that's just gonna it's gonna help so many people. I mean, that's really what it's all about, and that's why I've told you it's your experiences are extremely unique and really your triumphs are more unique because that's so many people obviously go through those things, but to maintain that, and I've talked about this with I was talking to Samo and other people, but about like your positive attitude, like, and that's just that unbeatable will within you, which that's what's led to the success in my belief because you've always been positive since I met you playing modified when we were doing modified wrestling. It was just like, you just had that positivity about you, and that's the childlike joy you were talking about, right? And that's something that so many people, it gets lost within society, I think, it gets drowned out. And I think that starts with education, right? The school system, doing things you don't want to do, kind of just like getting put back in your place when you ask questions or become inquisitive, but it's not right on topic. Or then you get to
Mhm.
college, right? And you're just right after high school, it's like, what are you going to do with your life? You got to figure out what to study. And it's just like, well, I don't know what to study. Like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
I was just learning, history, math, English. Like, I know just a little bit of all these topics, but I don't even know how to apply those in real life. And now I just need to figure out what to study to then apply those in real life. And I think that systems can be really difficult, uh, no matter what circumstance, and especially given yours to break through that. And now you're killing it in sales. You've been number one in Rochester for Spectrum, and sending me the charts and everything, and starting up, martial arts. So it's an amazing journey, brother.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and I have people in my family, like my cousins, that aren't a fan of the school districts or the school like system. And a lot of people, like it's definitely messed up how they structure it. And it was, yeah, just definitely there's a much better, there's so much more to life than what we see at the, on the outside. Like you look at other people and like, oh, and all these people around us living their life one way. We could do whatever we want in life, and that's literally it. We don't have to be weighed down by other people. Um,
Yeah, that's I remember I was watching Joe Rogan years ago because for me, I always wanted to do something like this. I always wanted to have a podcast. I always wanted to coach. Right when before I even lost weight, I was like, I want to help guys lose weight. I was saying that when I was playing football at UB because I knew I was going to lose weight, and then I was like, I want to help other guys do this. There's so many guys and people in general who are, struggling with health, just like we both have with autoimmune and other things, right? So, but it's like to really do it, to really like just send it at what you feel called to do, what God put in your heart, what's in your spirit is so much harder than thinking about it, right? And I think that's where sometimes the addiction comes in for me as well. Like I've struggled with cannabis use in the past for sure. And then with food, that was more my addiction long term, right? I probably learned that from when I was young, when I had a ton of people pass away in my family. You go to funerals, everyone's just kind of eating their feelings away. And before you
mhm.
know it, when you're stressed, that's kind of what you do. You don't even realize, oh shit, I ate 2,000 calories tonight. I don't even know. You go into like a trance, similar to what it would be with like a drug. It's the same thing with food. And to break out of that and to realize like you're meant for more. But you get that same with overeating. You get a whole food hangover. You wake up in the morning, you feel like terrible. Like no way I can hit the gym today. I feel terrible, and it's really a similar effect. And you gain weight, get less healthy, and it's almost like we use those addictions from what I've seen a lot of times to almost drown out our internal feeling of knowing we should do more. And that's when it came down to for me, right? I was watching Joe Rogan a few years ago, and it
Yeah,
was and it was like you need to be the main character in your movie. Like if your
yeah,
life's a movie, you're the main character. What would you do right now? Like not like what would you
and
do to fit into society or like what's the normal thing to do? Like what would you do if you're just like you're the main character. Okay, what's the next line in the script? What do you do now? And that comes down to Joseph Campbell
and
and the hero's journey and all these things. But
yeah,
and then even when I'm
and
moving down here, people are like, well, I was at the gym. They're like, why'd you move to Florida? And I was just like, man,
yeah.
I just felt drawn down here for a long time. I just was like, I don't know exactly. I know it's just part of my journey, part of the plan, and I'm just gonna trust it. But
And
and that's what you've done too.
And one thing before I forget, on watching Joe Rogan, like he's like a lot of people that become great, they had a fucked up childhood or like they grew up with a lot of struggles or issues, and like that turns them into a savage. And definitely I've also heard like a lot of more successful people can even be almost delusionally optimistic because there's only one route. It's plan
Yeah,
A
bro.
and it's to succeed. Um, and also another thing I was thinking of is like I've been on one of the days when I went to the all you can eat sushi. I think I went to a restaurant once or twice during this five
Yeah,
month period to see how it went. And I definitely chose more healthy options, but it's hard to do 100% healthy. That's why I was like, okay, let's not do that again. But my friends were like, dude, eat a dessert. It's not going to kill you. Eat this dessert, dude. And they were trying to force me. And they're thinking I'm the crazy one. Or when I go out and like, even last night, saying oh, you're gonna be fine with one glass of wine. You're gonna, dude, it's not gonna kill you. It's gonna be healthy. It's like, dude, these people will try to convince you that you could do, you slip up a little bit, just slip up a little bit, be more like me. Fuck that. I'm not gonna do any of that. No, I don't want that dessert. You can have it. You can have all the dessert. I'm very happy with my diet. You can have all the drinks. I don't need any type of drugs in my body. I'm very happy. And it's just crazy that these, like, even your closest friends, even your family will, in little ways, they should try to break you down. But it's, there's only one way to go. You listen to your gut, listen to your instinct, intuition. Especially for me, that's what it is. Like I realize, like I gotta listen to myself. Um, just like that Drake quote, because myself just told myself, you motherfucking man, you don't need no help. But
I mean,
yeah.
your the intuition is so critical, and it's really, I think a lot of times, especially which is what we're talking about the school system, right? It breaks that intuition down young. You're 4 or 5 years old, and immediately you're not studying what you want or what you think's most interesting, right? Your intuition's gone. You're told exactly what to do, how to do it. You're told how to eat. You go out with your friends, they tell you, you know what I mean? Like you can't even think, well, I'd rather just have some fruit or I'd rather have whatever it may be. And when you get to healthy spot, you can have food. Like it's some people do have other things, and it's not the end of the world by any means. And I think sometimes being overly optimal can lead to being sterile, which is, doesn't make
Mhm.
us strong. So there's always nuance to that, but you're 100% right because, you know, it comes down even to this book called The Four Agreements. I read this a long time ago and it was really helpful. But one of the agreements is don't take things personally. And I think because we've both been in a spot where we're telling somebody else, hey, have a little bit of weed, hey, have a little bit of food. And I'm sure we've both done that, right? Accidentally or unknowingly or maybe knowingly, but we've improved. And for us, when we see other people, we realize, okay, because we're not perfect and we're still deal with temptation. And I know I'm not perfect by any means. So it's like, okay, they're still in a spot where they're struggling with that. And to take it personally for us can be really hard on us because we think they're just trying to intentionally ruin all of our success when really internally they just want someone to suffer with because they feel alone. And I think that's really a different perspective to take for sometimes for especially people like us who are really trying to improve ourselves. And it's almost like insulting when somebody tells us to do those things, especially with whatever it may be. But when we realize, okay, there's probably deeper things going on, especially when I work and help people lose weight. And there's somebody, I work with a lot of people 300 to 400 pounds. So it's a lot of individuals who've, food is being utilized as a drug, quite frankly, or has been. And I know that from experience, right? So
Mhm.
it's important to take a step back for us and have that perspective. Okay, they're struggling, and it's like, how can we flip that into almost trying to help them? And sometimes helping them is just leading by example, right? Like by you doing that when you go out and people are telling you to eat and you don't, and then they see you killing it the next morning and you freaking post your 8 mile run, or you go to jujitsu, or you go to martial arts, you go to lift, or you kill it at work and you're the number one sales guy. Like they see that you're not just you're not all talk, right? It's action. Action is what does it. So if we just talk about being healthy and eating right, but if we don't do anything and we just start, we're sober and we're eating healthy, but we don't do shit, it's like, well, what's the point of that, right? We have to utilize, you know, what we've done to improve ourselves to really improve ourselves, but then it comes down to also improving others. And that's really what the next step is for so many people. I think that can be forgotten about too, is it's not just a self-improvement journey. Once you improve yourself, then it's time to improve others. It's time to give back, and it's time to, a rising tide raises all the boats, and that's really what it comes down to. We have to be part of that rising tide, and then eventually we uplift those others around us. We're going to be that different, the outlier, the person who, when we're around them, and somebody's like, "Oh, I don't know if I should have this drink." You're like, "Well, what do you got going on tomorrow? Oh, you got work at 8 a.m. and you got an important call. Hey, man, maybe you just have some water or have a club soda. I'm gonna have one too. You know what I mean? Then you can be that positive guy. Or hey, let's just, that dessert, it probably tastes good and but it might make you feel like crap. And you said you have a workout class tomorrow at 6 a.m. So why don't we go get some smoothies? Or why don't we, you know what I mean? Or why don't we go have some
Mhm.
Greek yogurt and berries and honey and make it taste great, or dark chocolate? Like, there's so many things, but it's going to make us feel strong and vital. And that's the cool thing in the spot we're both in, is not only are we leading ourselves, but now we get to lead others. And leading others, man, I think is even more gratifying than leading yourself. So I think that's what I'm excited for you about too, because now you're stepping into that role and hopefully working out with other people, right? You're gonna be the leader. That was kind of what my role with helping you initially, but now you've grown to the spot where you can lead others, which is, man, that's I'm getting goosebumps right now, but that's the best stuff to do. I mean, you've done it at work too. You're trying to uplift others, and it's also trying to find like that nook and cranny to fit in without offending, right? Because you talked about religion, and that's so
Yeah.
easy. It's such a great example of forcing something, just as education forces us to study things that we don't care about, or maybe that could be important, but when we're forced to do it, rather than explain why it's important, hey, math is important because if you want to build your own house, you need to know how to do math. Or science is important
Yeah.
because if you like X, Y, and Z, all these are important. Histories are important because it repeats itself. And these are humans, we're humans, so we're going to make similar errors if we don't learn from these errors, you know? So all of those things, right? Knowledge is failure and learning from it. Wisdom is learning from others' failure. So we want to have wisdom through history, whatever the example may be. But then
And
we get to apply all these. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, while I'm thinking of it, yeah, you're absolutely right about all those things. And then I just real quick to backtrack when you mentioned about being inquisitive and like asking these questions and people kind of shut you down. I've found that like a lot of time, maybe it's at a restaurant or this or that. Maybe I ask too many questions, but I love asking questions. And what's the worst that can happen? They're gonna answer all my questions. Like if they don't want to answer my questions, they don't have to. Like, but everywhere I go, I ask a lot of questions and I want to know because and when I run outside, I say hi to every single motherfucker.
Heck yeah,
And I
dude.
don't care. Like some people nod their heads, some people don't say anything, other people are like, hey. And I just like think I want to be very outgoing for my whole life because I know that life is so short and we're gonna be wiped from existence. 100 years from now, a whole nother set of humans.
Yeah.
And one other thing I didn't mention was, well, it's like growing up, about my life was it was just like a very unstable household. So it was like with my brother being bipolar and like, mixing it with the drinks and whatnot, that was extremely unstable living situation that I had the pressure on me every single day from morning to night. You don't know what's about to happen. So
Yeah.
I think that definitely leads to a lot of like grit now and like, self-control to like, hey, I know what I'm starting to realize what I want to do and I'm starting to realize what it's going to take to get there. So those are just two things, but yeah, and everything with, I mean, the diet is perfect, the training is perfect, the work, yeah, I'm outgrowing it. I'm number one in 27 stores or whatever for mobile yield percentages, and in the fourth for out of those 27 stores for sales and in Spectrum, and I need more money. They
I
better
think
cough up
that's
more money.
and I think that's an important thing for anyone listening in Western New York. We got a potential, not a free agent, but somebody who's, they've already, I mean, if somebody's listening right now, they've listened to what, 50 something minutes and they've heard your
Yeah,
story and they know who you are. And I think that's, if they need someone who's willing, outgoing, and is gonna just make everyone better in whatever work environment, Dennis is your man. So definitely,
absolutely. And being positive, waking up every morning to go to work. I work with some people that are negative. And oh, I don't want, so many coworkers I'm never satisfied with. I've had like many different sales jobs and I'm never satisfied because I know I'm meant for more. Like I'll outgrow the situation, whether it's the numbers, quotas I gotta hit, or the coworkers or this, that, and I outgrow them. And I definitely like I go to work. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to be here. I hate work. Then get out. Then get out, dude. I hate you're miserable. Then I get it. People need to go to the job, get paid, but at least have a positive and optimistic attitude. Like I might, just like some very successful people say, it doesn't matter how you feel. You're going to go to the gym. It doesn't matter how you feel. You're still going to do the same thing at work. And you can expect the same problems at work, challenges. So I wake
yeah.
up and just like that Goggins mentality, I hope there's problems at work. I hope that the 30 motherfuckers come in complaining to me about their bill. I'll be more than happy to serve them up some freaking Dennis sandwiches with the sales and whatnot. And I just, wanting those obstacles to occur. Like when I go for a run and I wake up and I know I got to run and it's raining outside. Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm so ready. I throw on my honey because me with the 100% cotton. I like wearing 100% cotton because I'm not a fan of synthetic fibers.
That's a good top to
Uh,
feel on that too.
Yeah, no, I don't like synthetic fibers either. That's something my mom brought me up teaching, and as well as you reminded me. So now I'm really strict with it. Um, and yeah, so I wake up, put it on, and I go for that run. And I'm very happy. I've even ran when it was snowing, when it's this, that. Doesn't bother me. I love it all.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm gonna grab a coffee. I'll pause it and we'll come right back.
Okay.
Start it up. All right, hit me.
So, I have some questions for you.
Hey, go ahead.
So, first one, what was it like being a big brother to two great brothers? And especially like you guys are all big, but like especially with me, like growing up, and I was a little brother and I had a big brother that, wasn't so great at times. But you being a big brother, what's that like?
Man, it's a blessing. I really, it's one of my
Oh, let
favorite
me just turn off
things.
the fan. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, being a big brother is one of the favorite things about my life, to be honest. And that's one of the hardest parts I think about growing up is being dispersed from my brothers has been difficult because we grew up so close together. We, I was, I just, I've always loved the camaraderie of just being together. We've always hung out together. We've always, growing up, we did everything together. So we'd go around and play with the neighbors, whether we were playing with one of Will's friends, my friends, whoever. Us three were just always together. So we would go and knock on neighbors' houses, play outside. We're together. We'd go shopping with my mom because my dad's at work. We're together. We go wherever we're going to my family's house. Like it was always just us three. And a lot of times my mom, because my dad was busy at work a lot of the time, growing up. So he'd be whether out of town or whatever it may be. So it'd be just me and my brothers. And, without my dad there all the time, like I was always there really trying to lead them. And, when I was young, I was definitely too physical sometimes. Like I'd always get in trouble because we'd be playing some sports or something and I would just like give them a bloody nose or just like shove them too hard. And then my parents would
Builds
always get
grit.
mad at me.
That's what big brothers are for. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something.
But I was always there for them. So if anyone messed with them, like they messed with me. So it was just I was just I took pride in taking care of them. That's just how I viewed it. Like even my parents would be like sometimes they would always tell me when I was a kid, they're like, you're not their parent. Like because I'd be like my parents would be telling them something, then I'd be telling them something because like I thought I was the freaking their parent. But I was always just, I'd always cared for them. I always wanted to root them on for games. Like we were always so tight. Like I'd be playing my games. Will would be there, Matt would be there for all the games, or I'd be there for their games. Like we never missed each other's games growing up too. For sports, we always rooted each other on. Like I would always have the boys over to play football, wiffle ball, basketball, and Matt and Will would always be playing, especially Will. Like Will would be there. He was when I was in fifth grade, he was in I think kindergarten, first grade. So he's 4 years younger than me, but he's 5 grades below. So he was always way younger, but he'd be playing with everybody. So we would have Patrick Downey over, David over playing football, in like fourth, fifth grade, Connor Wilmot, all these guys. And Will would be playing with us, like in the snow, booted up and snow panted up. And then he'd be playing with us. And we'd always have a sled on the side because we'd have to stretcher him off the field because he'd always get like a bloody nose or an injury or something like that. And it was, man, that's something I really miss. And when I went to UB, that was the hardest thing for me was leaving my brothers. Of course, my parents too, but leaving my brothers was really hard. Like I would be on FaceTime with Matt all the time. We'd be watching his film because he was in high school, so he was a junior when I was a freshman at UB. I wasn't playing, but I learned a lot of football and learned a lot of
Mhm.
technique that I didn't know when I was in high school. So I really tried to pass that down to him. So we'd be watching film. Remember in my dorm in Richmond at UB, I'd be watching film with Matt, trying to help him out, just help him really grow and improve and just support those guys and pass on any lessons I knew, whether it was from, the dangers of falling into the societal traps of addiction or alcohol and drug use or whatever it may be, advice about, relationships and women but it was almost the things that I sometimes wish I kind of knew because I never had like an older cousin who was kind of in my age range to give me those advices. But sometimes like your father is a lot older than you, so you almost need that like kind of middle ground. And
Mhm.
for me, I didn't always feel like I had that. And it was really nice because I always wanted to like tell them everything I wish I knew. I was trying to give them like the cheat codes, which is what I do now with weight loss for guys. Like I want to give you the cheat code. Like I want to help you get to that destination that took me a long time. I want to shorten that for you. So I always felt like that with my brothers and now it's yeah, it's harder because I live, in northern Florida, Matt's in southern Florida, and Will's in Boston. So we're spread out, but we still talk and obviously catch up all the time. But it's been a blessing. So I love just working with younger people, honestly. Like that's really something I enjoy. I obviously have a lot of clients who are older than me, but I really enjoy working and being kind of that big brother figure. I have a lot of guys who are, probably from 20 to 25, and I'm 27. So I know what they're going through. I've been through it recently, and helping them out is so fun. So I'm grateful, at least in that capacity, to be able to still feel like a big brother to many people, even though I'm not with my brothers every day. But that's a great question.
Yeah. And definitely the camaraderie is something I enjoyed with my brother.
Yeah,
We have many
absolutely.
good times and having someone there. And like you said, like being of that sort of age range, just a bit older than your brothers, you could relate to them more in what you're going through at this time in society, maybe more so than your parents and what they grew up with and what they want to teach. But obviously a good balance of all is great.
It was always
Um,
fun, like including them too, because they're Matt's
yeah.
2 years younger, Will's 4 years. So we just always made sure, like even when I had friends over, we're playing rubber band gun fights or freaking sword fights or whatever the hell we're doing. I'm
Mhm.
making sure the boys are in there. It's really fun to just include as many people. Like that's why I like when you're around. I love hosting people and having people over, and I want to be like that as a dad and as a father too. And that just
Mhm.
excites me to have. Like that's why I want to have many kids. When I'm a
Yeah.
father, I'm trying to have a squad, dude. I need,
Yeah.
hopefully at least six. Like I'm trying to really reproduce
Dude.
out here. So
Likewise, I'd love
yeah,
to do the same. And do you get inspired by your dad, like ha not only raising all these kids, but yeah, that could be another question. Like, has your dad slash mom inspired you in ways?
both for sure.
Both.
It's been cool to learn from them because they're people. I think that's where I get a lot of my risk-taking ability or ability to push through hard things. I would say risk-taking ability more from my dad, and then pushing through hard things, both of them. And I'm sure my mom's, but they both obviously have done both. But risk-taking, right? Like my dad, he's somebody who went to undergrad on his own dime, went to grad school on his own dime, kind of grew up similar to yourself in a sense of like a lower income household. You know, my most of my family, they're German or Irish immigrants from that side, so that's kind of they grew up in that background, and a lot of my past family also dealt with addiction. So I know for him that was something he wanted to, you know, step out of. And his my grandparents didn't have addiction, but there was a lot of that rampant throughout the family, and I know he saw that, and I've seen that personally. So he was somebody who was just extremely motivated, but not to just do the normal thing. He got an MBA, and right, the normal thing for an MBA is go get a desk job, whatever you may do some operational management, work till you're 55 or 60, retire. And he's always said to me, the people who like talk about their retirement right when they start a job, like that's bad. Like you shouldn't be looking forward to your retirement right when you're excited to start a job because you get good retirement. He's like, I don't ever want to retire. He's like, I want to keep working. Like I want to just keep doing stuff. He's like, never have I thought about retiring. And that's when I learned that from him. And he eventually in Buffalo, he opened multiple bars with different partners, and my mom helped him out with that. So he took risks, opening up a bar that everyone thought would be, 67 West is one in Buffalo, but many others. He started those up, and everyone thought it was stupid. It was a rundown area. He took the chance. And he always told me the stuff that people think is a bad idea or like didn't think was smart to do business wise, that's what's worked best for him. What everyone thought was a good idea and he didn't work best because everyone, it's like, it's that first mover effect, really. It's taking that leap before everyone thinks it's a good idea. Because if everyone knows it's a good idea, somebody would have already done it. So that was something I really learned from him. And he ran those bars, worked his tail off when we lived in Buffalo until I was like 8 or 9. And he was working a pharmaceutical sales job as well and just didn't feel fulfilled. I know he didn't enjoy that as much, similar to my short experience working corporate sales. And then he quit that and he invested and opened up a Tim Hortons in Rochester, and that's how we ended up moving to Rochester. Him and my cousin, they're my dad's cousin. It's my second cousin, and the great guy, Uncle Mike, well, cousin Mike, and they opened the Tim Hortons. First one was in Newark, then they had one in Bushnell's Basin in East Rochester. But really put everything in that, and that was something in Buffalo. Tim Hortons are booming; they're on every single corner, and Rochester just didn't really take off like that. It just didn't really. It didn't have the same traction. There's Dunkin', there's Starbucks. People just like other things, and throughout the time of Tim Hortons getting corporatized, the standards and the overall quality, I think, decreased. So you're not able to grow if you're decreasing quality. It grew prominence in Buffalo because it had great quality. And as the quality decreased, you keep your customer base, but you don't gain any more. And that kind of happened in Rochester. But I grew up, working and going to help when I could. So I remember working the drive-through in middle school, going to Newark on weekend mornings, and since you're you don't have to be over 16, since you're family with you're part of the family, you don't have to follow like whatever the state regulations. So I'd be working, seventh grade, run the drive-through on Saturday mornings and stuff, like just learning how to work with people quickly at a young age, and that was really cool. But my dad would go in, as the owner, if somebody calls off, the baker calls off, or you don't have a baker on the shift, he's got to go in at 3 a.m. And it was 24/7. So if somebody calls off overnight, he's working. So he was working all the time. And it's tough because you're managing people. It's a lower skilled position. A lot of people who, whether they're in high school or college or afterward, and it was an area where heavy in meth usage as well. So I remember seeing kind of that and the damaging effects of drugs early on when I was
Hmm.
working. But he was an inspiration to me because then later on in high school or when I went to college, he ended up selling all three, and he didn't have anything lined up afterward. He sold all three to a big conglomerate who was buying up a lot of Tim Hortons, and for almost a year he didn't really have anything on the docket. And I remember him just praying and like not knowing kind of what to do, looking to other businesses. But it's tough because he didn't want to go back to corporate sales, but he also needed to figure out a business to provide an income. So
Hmm.
eventually, family friend was owning the restaurant Mother's in Buffalo. Talked to my dad, and my dad knew him from the past and ended up purchasing that, going all in again, where people were like, "There's no way you can improve this restaurant. It's kind of already like a standard in Buffalo. People know what to expect." And it's been cool because he's drastically outperformed the metrics that were there before he took over, and really has been, just uplifting that place, the people in there, created a great culture there. And I got to witness that when I went to UB and worked for him thereafter. So
That's
that was
awesome.
an
The amount of
inspiration to
skill
me.
that takes.
Yeah, man. And just the balls too, like it's tough to, okay, life savings business, sell the business, life savings business. Like it's full send. Um, and that's what he
Mhm.
did. And then my mom, she's an absolute inspiration to me, and really during my time at UB, it was really hard initially for me to push through being a walk-on, being somebody who had to pay for my own school, who didn't really play at all my first 2 years, and was undersized. That wasn't as athletic as most people in my position. And I always just thought of her because junior year on New Year's Day, she got diagnosed with stage 3, stage 4 breast cancer. So that was
Mhm.
an intense thing that they didn't really share the whole aspect of it to us. They told her that she had cancer, she had to do this and that, but it wasn't like, hey, mom might be able to like pass away from this. But we didn't really, they didn't really share all those details with us because we were going through school and they were just wanting to protect us. And then obviously that was the time when Tim Hortons was struggling where they're going to sell it. So it was that's a rough time. And they just gutted it
Yeah,
out. And my mom got, double mastectomy. So she got surgery, would take off both breasts. From there, had drains because you've got all this fluid and blood to drain that out. And then eventually had chemotherapy and had radiation. So I remember the summer before my senior year, I'd be taking her to those appointments sometimes, and really taking care of my brothers a lot too, because my dad was at work. At the time, he had full ownership. My cousin kind of moved on from it, so he was operating all three, extremely busy before selling it. So we were, there for my mom and helping take care of her, and I was taking my brothers to practice, helping my mom out. So that was a really inspirational time for me to see my mom's just grit, because she was working as a para teacher in elementary school. So she was helping out special needs children while going through chemotherapy and radiation, dealing with people, kids who can just, they don't want to be they don't want to be in school. They're not happy with whatever's going on, and she's, showing that patience to work with them and then also go through her own
yeah.
trials and tribulations. So that's also where I learned how to cook a lot too, because my dad's at work, my mom can't cook. I'm cooking.
Yeah,
I'm cooking dinner for the family. So that's
that's
kind of
awesome.
where my skills of cooking formed even before working at Mother's. Was
Hmm.
we got to cook dinner, and I don't feel like having chicken patties tonight, so we're gonna cook something up. A lot of times people dropped off food too, but that was really inspirational. She became cancer free before I went to college, I believe. She became cancer free, but her, all of her hair fell out. She wore a wig, all the whole
Hmm.
9 yards. Went through all of that, and that has lasting damage. And for her, she really just pushed through that with the no complaining too, like never complaining, having just crazy, your hair, your nails, falling off, you don't have breasts anymore. You've got, your skin's melting from radiation to kill something within you, but it's killing you as well. So it was a pretty wild thing to see firsthand. But that was inspirational to me because I'm like, if I'm going through a hard workout, man, there ain't no way I'm quitting because she didn't quit doing all this stuff. So there ain't no way I'm giving up. And that was always something I literally would remind myself of that all the time when I was going through hard training or hard circumstances. Like, there's no way I can't quit if my parents didn't quit, you know?
Yeah. And dude, that takes incredible strength for your mom to do all that on top of overcoming her trials and tribulations. And every time I've seen your mom and talked to her, she's in always the best mood and most positive person and just amazing person overall. Same with your dad. Very, very amazing people. I love them both. I love your whole family.
Oh yeah, love
And
you.
and thank you. Yeah, I love you too, bro. Dude, you're the best. And that must have been a full load, um, to deal with that while going to school and like having to fill these big shoes of like you got to be college lineman and you got to gain this weight and you got to be the strength and you got to be toe to toe with some guy that might be bigger than you and ready to clash with them on top of dealing with all the things that life can throw you like what your mom was going through and let alone where your dad or brothers or friends or what school and what yourself is going through. That's incredible, man. That takes incredible strength and that could bring me to my next question is um with you're overcoming a lot of health complications right now and have been dealing with many years and whatnot.
Yep.
Will you look back and be will you look back and be grateful for having these obstacles come your way to have overcome them? Will you, I mean, obviously, you can't regret anything, but you're doing a great job overcoming them now. And will you look back and be happy that, you had these trials to overcome in life?
Absolutely. I think that's extremely important is to those challenges, those are what makes you. I know I have extreme faith that my best things are to come. I feel extremely called to a big journey of not only health, but you know, of helping society in many other ways, um, whether it's philosophy or politics or things like that. And I've always felt that way. Um, so for me, especially studying history and historical people who went through a lot of things, maybe say like JFK, he went through a ton of health issues throughout his adolescence, or through all these other people. That's just part of the journey. Um, I don't think I think self-pity is one of the worst things you can feel. Um, and it's a hard thing to sometimes not feel, but it's really important. And for me, yeah, health-wise, especially since my final year at UB has been kind of an extended trial period, I would say. And the tough thing is, and probably for a lot of people going through health issues, and you've been through it yourself, obviously, with autoimmune, it's not always seen on the surface. It's not like you've got heart attack or cancer or diabetes, right? It's something kind of like that, like you can go day to day and no one really realizes what you're going through, which is sometimes hard because then you start to think, oh, am I not going through anything? Maybe I'm not sick and I just think I am. And and then is it just in my head? So that was a process for me going through everything right after football, and where it all stemmed from, I don't really know, but because I'm my autoimmune, it's called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, but it really just seems to be metabolic issues that I think can be solved. So I don't really, I'm not someone like, for me, I have an autoimmune disease. I think it's going to be solved. I have confidence that I'm going to fix it and reverse it and then help others do the same. So that's the mission I'm on. I'm not
Mhm.
like concerned with a diagnosis. These are metrics which I can improve to improve my health, and then
Yeah.
I don't have it. So I think it goes a lot deeper than just a simple diagnosis doctors give us. But yeah, that's been an issue
Hmm.
since college. Um,
Hmm.
really, I think it stemmed from, the skin issues and autoimmune was a long standing thing. So who knows if that's vaccinations, if that's different environmental toxins, mold, things like that. But then after I got mono and the COVID vaccine, that's when things got way worse, and I never really felt the same. And I'm still kind of on the still pushing to get back to where I was pre 2021. I'm getting close, and then it'll kind of be a regression getting close. So it's almost trying not to
Yeah.
push myself too hard because I wanna. That's what I've done in the past. With coaching college football. it's pushing yourself to the max and you can't really fully recover. And also not knowing that anything wrong with me, I'm like, well, I'm going to just push it. And then firefighting was really the same thing. But I look back on all those experiences, man, with great joy, even though they were difficult, going through health difficulties and kind of feeling. I'm sure a lot of people have felt like, man, like what am I gonna actually, what am I here to do in life? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I remember I got the Wagner in June. By August, I'm like, well, I'm not a college football coach. Like after the season, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna move on from this. And I wanted to go into health and fitness, and then I didn't really know how to make my mark and didn't feel, I don't know, I didn't like selling personal training. And then when I was a personal trainer, I really enjoyed it, but didn't feel fairly compensated or had like adequate amount of clients, but I wasn't really able to source them. So it was just but they're all learning experiences, right? Like if I didn't train people in person, if I wasn't a strength coach for a high school team, then I wouldn't know how to train many individuals with many different issues, with many different goals, with many different injuries. So,
Hmm.
same with coaching college football. I coached 6, 7 guys. I was responsible for them. I was responsible for the tight ends for our team, which is a D1 team. We played Rutgers, Navy. So that was a great experience for me learning, right? Recruiting guys, bringing on players to play at this university in the future was a huge, value add for me learning. And that was massive. I was the JV head coach. We had JV games. We had 4 games. I was the head coach of the team. We had 45, 50 players. So I was responsible for the pre-game pump up meetings, the post game, the halftime, the adjustments. That was really a fun time. I loved that. So I always knew I wanted to do that. And then, going into firefighting, man, that's something that I genuinely loved and enjoyed. And it was difficult with the health situation for sure, multiple health situations with internal and foot injuries. But those are all great circumstances that I learned from and firefighting is something that someday I'd love to go do again for sure. And and especially the relationships you build during those times. Like I've got great friends from all those experiences and even post college, working in the cannabis industry and meeting different individuals. And although I'm not in the cannabis industry or really partake with that, it was interesting to just learn. That was really another introduction to kind of alternative health because it started to question, okay, what are the health narratives given to us, presented to us, and then what's really behind the scenes, what really helps. And that was a
Hmm.
cool perspective. So all those different experiences helped me. And then even this spring, right, I was in and out of the emergency room and getting blood drawn all the time and dyes shot in me and hearts examined or all these different things. And those were
Hmm.
all experiences for me because now I have so much things I can learn from. So if someone's going through an issue in the future, it's not something I really market that I work with people with extreme digestive issues or autoimmune, but those are things I have helped people with. I've got 5+ clients who have those and we've improved them significantly. So in the future, that's a cool thing for me. Like these are all experiences that I went through and can pass on and help others with. And even guys, I have many people who I work with who are former athletes, right? Recently, they've just finished up and they don't know what the hell to do with their life. And I was in those shoes. And so I get to be really a resource for them. So all of those experiences I get to pass on and help others. So I'm grateful for all of it. And then now it's about like trusting the intuition of getting healthy intuitively. Okay, what do I know I should do for health wise, but I haven't been doing? And that's really what
Yeah.
it's been. And that's why I came down here, get in the sun. And like I said, walk on the beach this morning, hit the gym and then go to the beach tonight. Like really get that sun, get that grounding, all that
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah,
That's
man.
amazing. Yeah. Beautiful area down there in Florida. What city is it again? It's
St.
Augustine.
Augustine. Yeah, St. Augustine.
Augustine.
It's a nice little
Nice.
spot. Yep.
And yeah, they say like when you pray for strength, you're pretty much praying for adversity because through trials and tribulations, builds that strength to you. So that's something interesting that I wrote down.
100%.
Another comment is um with the autoimmune disorder and like not giving up is I had 5 different dermatologists tell me that what I had was chronic. It's never going away and you're gonna take pills the rest of your life. That's what they told me. Dermatologist over dermatologist. I kept switching them because especially my mom, but we were not gonna accept that as an answer. Like you're giving me these medicines are giving me horrible side effects, like gained
Yeah.
20 pounds as a freshman in high school. Acne all over. Like now I have acne scars forever, stretch marks forever from these medicines I took short time. Um, and literally the last dermatologist prescribed an infusion. I forget the exact medicine, but I went to Strong Child Hospital, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got the infusion for 9 hours or 11 hours or whatever. 2 weeks later, I did another one right in the arm, and then 6 months later, I do another set of two. and then I ultimately did like 4 sets, and I haven't had any issues since then. It's beautiful, and I even tried many things like I tried going gluten free at the time. I tried going this and that, like just trying to like you really gotta be yeah proactive as you know more than anyone. Like be proactive with your own health. Like what is causing this? What can I control? And how do I limit this and like try to stop what's going on? And with a lot of people with types of issues, they can like limit that by fixing all the stuff, whether it's the health, the fabric, this, that, um, that's one thing I definitely wanted to touch on. And the thing about yeah, the self-pity, when I was like, what was it? I was 16 or something or 17. My brother had finally moved to North Carolina, and I was like, I held a slight amount of resentment after everything we went through, and I was mad, but I was like, wait, he's out of the picture now. What am I still like? Am I still trying to escape with weed? Am I like literally like what is there to be mad about? I can move forward now with my life. This is what I've been waiting for. So that's yeah, no time to have self-pity and because that was just gonna bring me down every day. And that's definitely something I 100% agree with. Um, Another thing is I just two more things with about
Yeah,
your dad
yeah.
is how you said he it's like yeah they told him the business would fail. That's Dana White. He was like, yeah, they told him UFC would fail. Don't do that, stupid idea. Look at it now. That's literally yeah, a lot of great business owners said no the same thing. And even what you said about him, like when you go into a job, you're not looking to retire, not looking to I don't we don't ever want to retire. We want to work, we like to work. And especially that's why we got to find the right avenue to go down. I've heard some very successful people on like some videos and or whatnot say like, yeah, I've even the people like if you really want to get like to a very great place, like there's no even time for like multi-week vacations or something. You could have millions and billions of dollars. You go on a multi-week vacation, you're not going to be as successful as the other guy. He's grinding every single day and he loves to work. And until very late ages, and it's like work until you die. Like that's a lifestyle.
And I
Um,
think too, it's important. I think that can be a trap too. I think the work can be a trap, and I've experienced this myself.
mhm.
And it doesn't always work's not always the full answer. Action is the antidote, but action towards what? Sometimes it's action towards rest. And retirement is typically trying to escape. But what if your life you didn't feel a need to even vacation or retire or escape because you enjoyed it? And I think that's where the balance comes in. Of course, working hard, but also being able to enjoy life socially, environmentally, all of those things. And I think that's what's critical, like be able to do many things and enjoy life. Because if we're of course we want to always strive for more, but it's also important to enjoy what we're doing. So if we know we don't like what we're doing, why not wait? Why wait 20 years to retire, Or why wait 10 years to create the business to then okay, this is the business I want eventually want to do. Why not do it now? Like I think that's the question. Because if you do the business now and then you have the money, instead of doing this ladder of corporate jobs, why not just send it for the business? Why not make a slideshow, secure funding, and make the business? Like that, I think that's the leap that we've got to take bigger leaps, and if we fail, we learn. That's okay. But these small little steps that we've been taught, it's just a little step stool up to the top. We don't even, I think you've got to take the leap sometimes. And if you fall, fuck it, dude. But I don't know. I think that's an important thing too, because if you look back on life and you're just been working 24/7, you don't even remember or enjoy it. Was that really a life worth living? I think it's important to not only work, but to give back, to be present. I think that's really what it comes down to. And if you're present and, like for me, like if I was waiting to, I'm going to move to St. Augustine when I'm 60 and when I have my gym and when I have my business and when I have this and that, like why not just do it now? Like that's kind of
Mhm.
was my mindset. Like I've wanted to, I don't really know why, but I felt called to, so I'm just going to try it. Or coaching business, the same thing. I could go firefight or get a normal job. Fuck it, let me try it out. And if it doesn't work, then I learn. And I think that's something I would always push others people to do is take action towards it in whatever capacity it may be. It doesn't mean quit your job necessarily, but maybe it does. And I think that's an important, or maybe move, or maybe do things like really take the steps. And that's what I've done. And you were asking about like the journey. The past few years has just been, all right, move Staten Island, try this out. Okay, move. to Buffalo, do this, move to Oregon, do this. Here, now it's moved to Florida. Like it's just, trying to take those at bats. It's a percentage game like you were talking about too. And in baseball, if you hit 30%, you're 300 average, you're an all-star. So it's almost like in life, you got to keep taking those at bats too. And that's like for you for applying to new jobs, it's just taking those at bats. And one of them, you got to hit a home run.
Hmm. Definitely. And you have always been from the start when I met you, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, moving up. You're honestly, I gotta say, you're the most disciplined person that I've known to come to ever know to this day, whether it's waking up early, go to the gym, and as far as, you're starting to count those calories and macros, micros, and from before anyone else started that. And like, and literally, you've been on the grind. And back when I had started, smoking, drinking, yeah, I don't know exactly when you had dabbled, but you definitely were always like, not like clean, not like completely clean cut, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you
of course.
always were disciplined and very had a strong willpower. And you're definitely always been on the right track and always doing the right, even through all the obstacles of life, which takes a lot of strength, which
It was kind of
the
when I
question.
started, it was like
Yeah.
21. I was always pushed by all my teammates to start drinking, to drink, to drink. And I never did my first few years. And then when I finally started playing a few games, then I was like, I'm gonna let my foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Drinking, I think it's probably from autoimmune or whatever other issues. I never was just like a big fan of it. Like it just always
Mhm.
made my stomach hurt. I had later
Mhm.
on I had liver issues, but it just never never like really hit. Like I'll have whatever once in a while wine, but that was never my big thing. I think cannabis was more something I utilized,
Mhm.
especially during COVID and once I started to feel sick, initially to gain weight back from losing weight, and then it became a crutch because I had a back injury. So during most of my final season, that's when I started using it chronically, not like once in a while. Probably for a year, I used it once in a blue moon, but never had any equipment to consume it unless I was with others kind of thing. And then once I had the back injury, then I started using it more chronically and was in a relationship where it was used within the house. So that was another just temptation. If somebody else is using it, I probably will use it. So that's an important thing to recognize. And then through having a back injury, not being able to wake up and put on clothing or go to bed, it would be using that muscle relaxers and painkillers, kind of and ibuprofen. So kind of four different drugs daily.
Mhm.
And then even the travel games, we'd be going to a drive to whatever, Ohio, and I'd hot box right before, uh, in the parking lot of the stadium and get in and tell one of my teammates and be like, hey, cover for me if coach doesn't talk to me, I'm cooked. And and then it became even after the season when I started to recover from the injury, when I started losing weight, I just kept using it. And it just was like that. I don't even know because I wasn't in a lot of pain anymore, but I was in a lot of emotional pain because I wasn't happy with where my life was going, or I was confused and bummed out after football. I was in grad school and I was losing weight, looked healthy on the outside. Everyone's like, "Hey, man, you're killing it," but I didn't feel that was I was going through these unknown health issues that I'm finally trying to address now, but I didn't know that at the time, so I felt terrible, felt super cold and sick, and had super bad stomach issues and got colonoscopy and all that, and I couldn't figure it out. So I'd be using weed kind of as a mechanism to even like have my stomach feel better. And
Mhm.
even I'd be going on sales calls. Some of my biggest sales I made back then, you know, go to whatever businesses and I'm high. So it was definitely utilized chronically then. I didn't really stop until um yeah, I didn't stop until 2023 was really when I stopped, and I've dabbled a few times since then, but never kind of chronically. And every time I have, it's been an environmental thing, frankly. It's been with people who it's just like a thing that we've done in the past for the past 5 years. So when I'm with them, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And now I've kind of slowly not done it at all. Um, but it like halted from chronic usage to like, two, three, multiple times a day to where it was a numbing effect. And
Mhm.
I did it because I was struggling mentally so much after sports and in relationships. And I was just in a bad spot of depression and kind of struggled with depression definitely struggled with depression throughout my childhood, starting probably in third grade. I had, I think like 5 or 6 passings in a year of really close family, from grandparents to aunts and uncles who are all super close, specifically on my dad's side, and then some on my mom's side too. So, losing 3 grandparents, 2 or 3 aunt and uncles who I'm extremely tight with, do sleepovers with, and then just thinking like everyone's gonna just die. In third and fourth grade, you don't really understand it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the start of for me like that depression and slowly learning how to get through that. And I got put on SSRIs early on in middle school. I was put on SSRIs, and looking back, right, of things you regret, right, for you, cannabis, SSRIs for me is number one, far away, more than anything.
Mhm.
And I didn't really know at the time, but the doctor's like, oh, you feel sad and this and that, and you don't feel better from going to a counselor. Um, let's have you start these pills. So I'd be taking these and feel like all like, I don't know, just didn't feel right. Didn't feel right
Mhm.
at all. And it was really bothersome to me. So then eventually would kind of go on and off of them until college, man, until like midway through college. But all throughout the time, it was a struggle too. And I've never really talked about it, but I had probably from like high school was the first time, or even younger, middle school, high school, I had thoughts of suicide for probably consistently. From then, whenever that was in middle school or high school, probably like 2010, probably all the way till 2023. Those were a
Wow.
constant thing. So probably like 12, 13 years. Depression, constant battle with thoughts of suicide.
Yeah.
You know, Went to the hospital multiple times for self-harm issues and getting stitches, mainly to the head or that area. So like that was always something kind of just I think that was why I tried to be strong around other people because like inside I didn't I felt that like lacking, I didn't feel that strength, but I tried to have that discipline. That's why I think I created that. I had that discipline. It started with football, was when I first started building it because I was trying to just get control of my life and my feelings and feeling so crappy, and not knowing why. And I really had no purpose. Especially, I remember thinking like sophomore year in high school, I've got like no girlfriend. I'm never gonna get a girlfriend. I have no idea what I want to do in life. I'm not good at any sports because I missed my whole sophomore year of football, and I wasn't even really good before. I was never really good at football. I stopped wrestling and playing baseball. I thought I was gonna get cut from baseball, so I stopped. And wrestling, I didn't. It was just hard, and I stopped because I was being soft and used weight
Mhm.
cutting as an excuse, but it really was just me being soft. And then finally football gave me like something. Like they're like, hey, you got to go lift. You got to work with the boys. Um,
Let's pick it up.
okay. Hopefully that I lost Wi-Fi for a second, but I leave it off when I was in high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like in high school, right, trying to find a purpose, but didn't
Mm-hmm.
have any, and still felt depressed. And then eventually football was kind of like that, where it at least had some structure in my life because I didn't really have anything. I would just come home from school, feel feel depressed, and
Yeah.
really had nothing going on. But didn't feel like I was good at any sport. Friend wise, I kind of that was when people started dabbling in vaping and weed and stuff, and I didn't want to do that either. So I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
crap, man, I don't know what to do. And I thought a lot of going into the military and throughout college, I mean, throughout high school, still felt that depression on and off. And I think a lot of it too was being in a relationship personally that wasn't best for me. But I was like, I have somebody who cares about me, so I don't know how do I end that? Like I felt kind of stuck in that regard because it was like, shit, I have somebody who cares about me, but like I just know this isn't the right thing for me long term. And that ended up staying around for a while too, which was that was a work in progress for a long time. But throughout college, right, same thing. Um, I remember, thinking of like I'm gonna go to the top of this building and jump off. Like that was like legit thoughts of mine. And it just was I didn't have like I don't know. It was just I wasn't in the right spot, and that was a grind throughout the whole time and on SSRIs on and off. And I remember the last time coming off somewhere, maybe sophomore, junior of college, but I'd get like, these full body like crazy shocks. And it was just weird. Like I just and it would impact like libido, all these things. Like there were so many just side effects of having these issues of taking the SSRIs where it was just, that was an issue. But then also, I still had the suicidal thoughts and all that. But eventually, 2023, um, you know, I they tried to diagnose me with other issues. And I was just and tried to get on other medicine, and I was just like, man, I don't want to do it. And throughout college, I looked into kind of psychedelic therapy and experimented before with mushrooms, but never really like I don't know, took it seriously in a sense of like I'm gonna do this for a reason, for to really improve my mental health. It was more of just an escape mechanism similar to cannabis. And then actually did I think speaking of infusions, I did infusion of ketamine. So I did three separate ones of
Wow.
those, and um and those were pretty those were pretty intense experiences for like an hour. And that's when, the synchronicity aspect of life really hit for me. I was always Christian and believed, and obviously not strong enough to not overcome those feelings, but that helped me just understand that it's deeper than whatever it seems. So from there, that's when I took the leap. Like a week or two after, I called my coach at Wagner. I was like, all right, I'm in. Let's go. Quit my job working cybersecurity sales. And from there, it's been on a journey just to trust intuition and send it. But that's when I stopped using cannabis. And that's why I used the ketamine was used to overcome actually the depression and suicidal ideation and self-harm. But it inherently kind of stopped me from really using cannabis, alcohol, anything like that. And I had like I'm trying to think. Jake Molnich, shout out Jake, he picked me up from one of the appointments. So I was like, hey, I'm going to get ketamine IV. Can you pick me up after I need a ride? Because I can't drive. And he picked me up after one. So shout out to Jake. And I think my family picked me up from the other ones. But that was a grind, man. And then from there, it's been so it's not always a straight path if for most people listening. I think that's an easy thing about social media too. It seems like the highlight reel. And for me, it's tough to, in a short, I'm not going to just post like, oh, like I took ketamine and that's fixed everything. Because it didn't. It was something that just helped me readdress a lot of things. Or it's tough to post like, oh yeah, I tried the fucking whatever, injure myself a bunch of times. Like those are just pretty intense things to post. And it's like, and I guess this is the time where I talk about it. But that sums up, I guess. It started with cannabis and things like that and discipline. But yeah.
I guess I was gonna ask, yeah, would you say was it the cat like maybe the ketamine helped some, but do you think it was mainly like time that passing that
Ketamine was a
helped with
perspective shift. It was a distinct perspective shift. It almost like I turned a new leaf. So I would say it definitely helped. Yeah,
um
it turned a new leaf.
it,
And then even like I've utilized and these aren't things like I tell other people to utilize. By any means, I don't
mhm,
never told a client to do any of this stuff, even with alcohol or cannabis or anything. We stick
mhm,
strictly to training and nutrition. But as you know,
mhm,
but these are just my personal kind of endeavors or things that I've done to become a better version of myself. And I
mhm.
try to explore all avenues. So even before moving here, like that was a big thing of okay, I know time outside helps me a lot, time in nature. So um I'm gonna utilize mushrooms and go in nature for a day and just unplug and really try to follow that intuition and figure out what that truly is. So but the ketamine was it was a perspective shift for me, realizing it's bigger. It's things work together, it's bigger, it's gonna work out. And it's been used for a lot of people for treatment resistant depression. So I think it's just, you've got many levers to pull in many different aspects of life. If you're trying to get healthy, if you're trying to get physically healthy, mentally healthy, if you're trying to improve nutrition, right, you can try so many different diets. And I think for mentally, there's so many different things you can improve. Obviously, faith, daily routine, physical activity, nutrition, environment, camaraderie, community, family, friends. And that was just one thing that I utilized after so many other things.
Man, that's you shared a lot with me, and that some things I heard for the first time, and definitely, man, um, you've been through a lot, and and you do so much for other people, and thank you for being so selfless and like helping all of us out, including me, in terms of guiding me. And you are like a big brother figure because you literally you mentor me in all aspects of life with this training program, on top of the training and diet mainly, um and definitely that's an amazing introspective you had where even though you were having these self-doubts and thoughts, um but you still, on the outside, you may have wanted to put on more of a big bad wolf sort of
Yeah.
thing. I think it meant something like so. That's incredible introspective to really like have like where it's you were that inside, but on the outside and to grow from that and learn from that. That's incredible.
I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
Yeah.
That's why I've been grateful to have you because during this, you know, it's been more of a health mentally I'm great but
Yeah.
but during the whole process when you were freaking transforming in really since whatever May to August, September, that was
Mhm.
a like as you know, because I was telling you all this stuff that I was going through
Yeah.
health wise, that was like some of the hardest
Mhm.
times. So having you there, just somebody to go lift with, and it was fun being able to teach you because it's like I get to be out of my own body. It's not like I've got to go do some crazy lift. I'm going to teach Dennis how to do this, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it's honestly been extremely helpful for me through all this process has been doing the coaching and has been helping others because I'm somebody who loves pushing myself physically. Like if I could, I'd freaking go, jump out of helicopters and fight fires or whatever the hell it is, or
Mhm.
MMA, or it's also just I like challenging myself. So being able to
Mhm.
help others when I'm improving the health of myself, it's so fun.
That's amazing, beautiful thing, and again, just the selfless aspect of that to really want to help people, like that's really a gift from God, and that's definitely something that doesn't go unrecognized. Like you definitely are a great person overall. Like you're tackling all these things all at once, and it's incredible, and since from a young age, like, and you definitely it's incredible the great decision making skills that you have. And to that's really incredible, dude. Thank you. Thank for everything,
Thank you, man.
bro.
Your journey's crazy too. It's been fun. You both got to kind of share like some of our experiences throughout
Yeah.
throughout life. It's been fun.
And and yeah, dude, training with you, like when you hit me up, said it's time to train. And when you first got the lineman to leanman rolling,
Yeah.
late May,
It's probably late May, early
early
June.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that was like something new, different for me because I've hit the gym never seriously. I've ran prior, but that I would overdo the running and then get burnt out. And like the good balance that you helped to find me where I started with the 3 days lifting, moving it to the 4 days, slowly incorporating the diet, incorporating the core days. That's really an incredible transition that you have from start to where I'm at now, where it's like 5 months in, I'm really able to, get on more advanced stuff. Maybe I know I
Yeah.
still got a long ways to go, but definitely, I know that keeping all the aspects together, whereas the sleep, training, diet, work-life balance, and I make sure to go all in. I can't go 50% in or 60% or 70% in. Oh, it's like, okay, I'm still gonna have cheat meals or this, that. No, no, no. I'm 100% in, and I think that's what contributes to maybe more of the successful gains and like having quicker results as opposed to maybe I was in the gym a year and no results. Definitely
Absolutely.
just going 100% in and wanting it so bad and just like nothing, I and having a great coach like you, for like you have been a major part in my success, so definitely you'll get what you deserve, man. Thank you, man.
Hey, well, I'm thankful for you, dude. What other you got any other questions or things you were thinking?
Yeah, yeah. So I had one more question.
Yeah, hit me.
Football was and is a big part of your life. Um, what are some lessons that football has taught you or going through that someone that's never played football wouldn't know? Like I know I did modified for 2 years, but it's still like, what sort of stuff would you tell a non-player like that some lessons or some of the greatest things that you've learned?
Sure. I think that's a great question because yeah, it's really cool what football has taught me because I'm not really involved in it as much anymore. I don't really watch super often. Um,
Mhm.
I've moved on in life a little bit, but it created a great foundation of skills, and I think number one would be just, emotional awareness, which transitions into leadership and working with others, but it really starts out with understanding the people you're around. And if someone coming from the town we were coming from, it's just it's a kind of a suburban area where predominantly middle to upper class. And growing up in Buffalo beforehand, I was going to city school. I was kind of like a minority in that school. So coming to Pittsburgh was like a freaking shell shock to me because I thought I was like smart at that school. I got to Pittsburgh and I was way behind. I needed a tutor for every class because I was not, I was not ahead of the curve. I thought I was when I lived in the city schools in Buffalo and got to Pittsburgh and was not. And then when I went back to UB, um, or when I went to UB, right, and played football, it was a lot of it was emotional awareness to connect with others because you've got people from all over the country, all over backgrounds. And it was really important to learn the person to really connect with the team. You're on a team at my time, I don't know if it's the same, but we had 120 players on the team at any given time, typically 105 to 120. So you have an extremely large team. And it's really tough to connect with everyone just by name basis. You need to be able to know something about them, know where they're from, know their favorite food, their team, their relationship, their major. And so being able to just connect with guys was extremely important. And I think that helps me just now in life with just being outgoing and trying to talk with others because I would have a goal in camp. I was like, I'm gonna meet one new person every day. Like I'm gonna get to know somebody today. Like that was like one of my biggest goals was just to get to know somebody because we had 100 guys on the team. So it takes me 100 days, more than 3 months just to meet everyone theoretically. So that was a huge thing with football. And eventually I transitioned to becoming a captain and a leader on the team. And one of the biggest things I wanted to do was not to just be in front of the team and in front of the coaches and be like, all right, let's go, guys, like be the most motivational speaker. That's probably something public speaking I can get better at. I'm still like, I just get hyped up, swear a bunch, and just I need to provide more substance and plan my speeches out better. But when I'm working individually in a small group setting or one-on-one, that's really when I thrive. That's really when I feel like I can get through to the others, and that's because I get to know somebody. And that's the same when sales, same in business, and it can apply that to so many other things in life. Like for me, moving to St. Augustine, right? I don't know anybody here. I know my cousins, and that's it. I don't know anybody at the gym, so I'm going to I'm going to a food store around here, a natural food store. I meet the guy. Okay, let's hit a lift. I meet people at the gym, get their phone number. Okay, let's go, get something to eat or go hit a lift or whatever it may be. Trying to meet people playing volleyball at the beach but it's, you know, a lot of people would be intimidated by moving alone and not knowing anybody. And for me, it kind of is almost feels like a football when I went into the new locker room as a freshman and there's 100 guys and I'm 17 years old and everyone else is, 18 or 17 to 24. And it's just like, all right, you got to just figure out how to get to know these guys. So football taught me that and just how to step into a new environment and challenge yourself. And then another big thing would be overall just management of workload. And that's almost been to a detriment eventually because it feels like if I'm not working every single aspect of the day, I'm not doing something right. It's almost like, oh shit, what should I? There's something missing. I'm late. I'm doing something wrong because I was
Mhm.
used to having a schedule packed from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Like every single day, my day was packed. I wasn't wasting a single second playing video games or even hang out, which I probably should have, right? That's something look back. I'm like, man, I should have hung out with the boys more. Like I should have got to know my teammates more outside of football, not just at the facility, but outside of the facility. But I was just so focused on my goals of earning a scholarship, becoming a starter, becoming a captain by year 5 that I was just that's what I'm doing. So those are kind of some things that taught me, but it also taught me how to manage a workload, like I mentioned, like how to train for 2 to 3 hours a day. I would always hit a second workout, how to watch film, how to evaluate things. And that also taught me how to self scout. So, you gotta know thyself. And that was really an important aspect. So watching myself on film every single day. And that's something I really try to encourage people to do, whether it's tracking food or whether it's watching and tracking their lifts or recording videos, because now you can see how you can improve. It's not about being obsessive and perfect. It's about seeing how you can improve. And I think that's where it gets lost, right? And that's where
Mhm.
the discipline for me for tracking meals is very easy because I used to watch 2 hours worth of film of myself playing football or other guys playing football. So for me, putting in, oh yeah, I had, with my coffee right now, I had 2 ounces of raw milk and 5 grams of honey. And that's easy to put in my phone to just like track throughout the day. Okay, I'm training later today. I'm hitting legs hard like you already did today. I need to make sure I have adequate carbs in the system. So I need to be able to track that and see how I feel. And if I look back and felt undernourished for my lift, I can look back and see, well, what should I have improved? So that taught me
Mhm.
that just how to review yourself, not to be overly perfect, not to be a perfectionist, but to self-evaluate and be critical of yourself without kind of becoming too obsessive, I think is really important. Yeah,
It's incredible.
that's a great question. There's so many things though. Football, I mean, playing 6 years in
Yeah.
college football, man, it teaches you a hell of a lot. I'll say that for sure.
That's
What?
yeah. I know it's a loaded question. There's
No, it's a good question.
and but they're definitely that's awesome that you mentioned like the having a packed schedule. And like from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's what I hear a lot of successful people. That's what it comes down to is having that packed schedule and you segment the time where you got 1 hour for this, 2 hours for this, 1 hour for that, and you're not wasting that time. So that it looks like in considering how um successful you've been in terms of starting up this lineman to leadman program as well as doing what you love and sharing, with others what you've learned and helping others and that having that packed schedule still and on top of everything else life has taught you. That's amazing. And you could definitely see it like, you know, what is it coming off you and whatever the word
Yeah,
is.
I know what you mean. All right, I got a question for you then. What have been some of the main 2 or 3 things you've learned working together through the program? Not only obviously you learned how to like eat and lift, but like maybe some other things other than what we talked about already.
Mhm. Um,
Whether it's like daily routine or
yeah.
like environmental
Well, like
toxins or things like that or
top
sleep.
top two, three things I've learned. Definitely like so. Well, for one is I literally just gotta fucking go train. I gotta go train. I gotta make sure, get the stretch, the squeeze.
Mind
I
muscle
gotta
connection.
actually and yeah, mind muscle and just having that consistency too, where I don't miss a single day. I saw this thing where it was like, you miss one day, you're starting a habit. You don't miss 2 days. You better not miss 2 days. So that's something I know I don't go a day without it. Yeah, just training. I've learned that there's definitely many people that are training and that are on the right path, but there's way more that aren't on that path. And that's something that's, I now trying to hang out with the same people or, see the same friends, like they just aren't trying to go down the same path, whether they could be successful also in their own ways, or maybe they're not so successful in their ways. But it's just like definitely it's gonna take it's really like, how they say killing your old self. Like you kill your old self because you're becoming a whole new person. Like it's literally you do different things. I think differently. The the new skate video game came out today that I was looking forward to for years, but I'm not too excited for that right now at this moment because I have things to do and things I got to get done. Like whether it's errands to run, I feel just like, very ready to finally lock in 100%. I've also learned like definitely from how important sleep is. That's definitely important. Like I feel much better every day getting those 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That really affects me in a great way. Like whether I was, short on sleep in high school or some college nights, have 3 hours of sleep. And I was like, dude, what was I doing? Like, why? I mean, yeah, we had some fun nights. That sleep helps so much perform in the day and you think better. And when I think better, I have a much more successful day. Um, how important the sleep is. The diet, literally, like my whole body and metabolism, it functions all properly. And I'm blessed to have an amazing mom that taught me a lot about nutrition growing up and just healthy stuff. But definitely that diet helps me be on the right path.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Um,
All right, what about if somebody's like they want to, right? Somebody's watching and they want to change their life, they want to get healthy. What would you say to them?
So for you that's watching this, you're watching this, you might have not started training. Maybe you tried a little bit, you gave up, and you want to get healthy. Um, it's never tomorrow. It's right now. It's today. It's this minute. There's never, oh, when I get older or when that happens, waiting for stuff, keep waiting for stuff. You're waiting for nothing. The time's gonna fly by. I knew that when I started this in May, that these 3, 4, 5 months were gonna fly by. And what do we know? They did fly by. And I stayed consistent every day and I reap the results and the rewards. And whether it's through physical, how I feel, or how I look, and it's you definitely just want to start literally right now. And on top of and you everyone in their heart, like maybe they had some guidance, maybe not enough guidance, maybe they don't know the right or wrong things, but for most people, they know what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. Maybe you're, smoking and drinking still. It's, maybe you're doing too much and it doesn't mix well with the training. If you really want those goals, you probably can't do that stuff. And then that's when you start thinking you cut it out. Or maybe um you know you in the right things to do you need to read, less video games, more reading. That's something I'm implementing in my life. Less, in it. And really you don't need all these desserts and all the poisons that it's hard in today modern society where they got McDonald's everywhere, fast food. Oh, get this cheap food, it tastes amazing, and you got, meat and all this other stuff in it. It's definitely, dude, they're gonna make it hard on you, and you just gotta really be a savage and just really, take it and get after it. Like you gotta freaking and dial in. It's about the little details too. It's all the little details that add up into a great something great. So really just start right now and just start doing research and like how do you want to feel and look when you're 40, 50, 60 years old? Do you want to be that person that's, struggling? I know there's some genetic factors too, and people were raised differently, but everyone is at their own pace and remember that. So whether it takes months or years or whatever, just do what it is to make you the greatest version of yourself right now. And there's one life, so you better,
100%, man.
get right.
100%. Take ownership of your life, take ownership of your actions, what you do, and we're gonna both keep doing the same thing, keep striving to improve, and man, well, I think we're good to go, man. I think that was a great podcast. We'll have to do another one in the future for sure, but appreciate
Absolutely.
appreciate you hopping on, brother.
Dude, thank you. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff. So definitely get the double bicep rolling for the money shot real quick. Yeah,
There we
that's it.
go.
Yeah, bro. That's is crazy. Yo, and the tricep
Tricep
being,
hanging. I've been telling you
that's
about that long head. You got to do that stretch
yeah,
position, and you
bro.
got it.
The legs, dude, never forgetting the legs too. That's fucking awesome, man.
Alrighty, brother. Well, I'll end the recording, and then we'll be good to go.